Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope everybody's enjoying the nice weather. I hope you're not spending too much time indoors. I know that's what happens when we do crafting or jewelry making. I'm always torn between staying inside and working on my craft or going outside and enjoying beautiful weather and hiking and all the other things that summer has to offer. I'm very lucky because I have some really nice bike trails in my neighborhood, and so I love to walk on the bike trails, and it takes me to all kinds of places. I go to parks, I go to rose gardens. We have trails around here that are very, very long. I could even walk all the way to DC if I wanted to. And I must say that Arlington does a great job of providing trails for bikers as well as pedestrians. But one of the nice things about going on these walks is that I get to see a lot of wildlife. I see deer, I see foxes, I see raccoons, I see all kinds of birds. But like I said, I'm always torn because it takes me away from the things that I love to do, like jewelry making. And so what ends up happening is that I stay up really, really late till all hours of the morning working on my craft. But anyway, guys, I'm not complaining. It's all good and it's all a lot of fun. So anyway, I have a very nice tutorial for you today. We're going to be learning how to make that necklace that you saw in the introduction. And you may have seen a little preview on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. I do post regularly on those platforms, and whenever I design something new, before I even release the tutorial, I do post a little short clip. So if you would like to get previews before I even publish the tutorial, you can go to those platforms and check them out. Now, a lot of you have asked me to do some live streaming, and I am thinking about it, but I'm thinking about doing it on TikTok because the capabilities for live stream are a little bit different on TikTok. You have a little bit more control, I think. So I'm seriously thinking about using that platform, but before I do any live streaming at all, I do have to get a new iPad because my iPad's at least 5 years old, and I think it's reached its age limit. It really has. It doesn't function as well, and it keeps crashing on me. So anyway, guys, that's another problem that I need to solve, but it's not at the top of my priority list, I hate to say. But anyway, guys, we're going to be using the beads from Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, the June edition. And if you don't subscribe to that box, don't worry, because I'm going to list all of the materials down below in the description section of this video. And if you're not familiar with Didi's Deluxe Bead Box, I'll leave a link down below so you can go check it out. And if you do go to their website, don't forget to check out all of the other items they have to offer. They have a whole selection of beads and all other kinds of supplies. Now, before we get started, let me remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please think about doing so because it really does help my channel and it helps me as a content creator to stay motivated to create more videos for you. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I release a video. Another thing that I would love is if you leave some comments down below and give me a thumbs up. That helps my channel as well. And don't forget that I always model my necklaces, so if you stick around till the end, you'll get to see me wearing it. And also, don't forget that if you want to skip forward to any portion of the video, I leave timestamps down below so you can skip to any part of the video that you wish to watch. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started. And here we have Didi's Deluxe Bead Box for the month of June. Let's go ahead and select the beads. Now, I've already been into this box, so some beads are missing. These are not the full strands, but we're definitely going to be using these gorgeous blue frosted beads. The color of these beads is azure blue, and these are 8mm in size. We're also going to use these gorgeous rondelles. I love this color. These are two-tone matte faceted crystal rondelles, and the color is succulent green, and they measure 8 by 6mm in size. We're going to be using some of these gorgeous crystals. These are the triangle faceted crystals in the color Mystic Blue Rainbow, and they measure 7 by 5mm in size. I'd like to use some of these connectors in this bag. Let me pull out the ones that we're going to be using. As you can see, there are 2 connectors and 1 pendant, but you could actually use this one as a connector as well. But we're going to be using these 2 only. We're not going to be using that one. And of course, we're going to be using this gorgeous resin pendant. As you can see, it has a marbled effect in blue and green colors. It measures 25 by 22mm in dimension. We're also going to be using these melon spacer beads. These are 4mm in size. And we're going to be using these wavy disc spacers. These measure 8mm across. And that's it from this box. I'm going to be using some chain, and I got this from my stash. The links look like they measure maybe 3 by 3.5mm. I'm not sure, but they're oval links, as you can see. And this is called cable chain, and the links are flat, as you can see. But you can use any kind of chain as long as it's not too dainty or too big. I would consider this one to be a medium-sized chain. It's not very big at all. I'm going to be using some head pins, and these are ball head pins. And these head pins are relatively thin, and they're long as well, which will allow me to do some wraps. And here I have some jump rings in a couple of sizes. I have some that are 4mm in size and some that are 6mm in size. And I also have a Lobster Claw clasp. I'm going to be using a small amount of 18 gauge wire, and I'm not particular about the brand, but I do like to use tarnish resistant wire if possible. As you can see, this one's by Beadsmith and it's in a silver color. So we're going to get started, and we're going to start out by cutting some chain. Now the necklace is going to have 3 tiers. The lower tier is going to be 10.5 inches long. The middle tier is going to be 9 inches long, and the upper tier will be 7.5 inches long. But you can make yours as long as you want to. That's the nice thing about this design. It's very customizable, and you can make your tiers as long as you want. Generally speaking, when I'm making a multi-tier necklace, I like to have a difference of between 1.5 and 2 inches between each tier. But it all depends on what kind of beads you use and whether or not you're hanging dangles. There are a lot of variables that come into effect. So the best thing to do is just to estimate what you're going to do first, and then you can make adjustments later on. So I'm going to start by cutting my lower tier. Like I said before, I want it to be 10.5 inches long, but I'm going to cut myself a little extra just in case. Let me measure out some lengths. This one measures about 10.25 inches, and this one's a little bit longer. So I think I'm going to use this one for my lower tier. And I'm going to cut myself a piece that's about, I would say, 11.5 inches, just to be on the safe side. Now these links are actually cut, they're open links. So I'm just going to separate it, I'm not going to cut it. That way I'll save my cutters. So here's my lower tier. And now the second tier is going to be 9 inches, like I said before. And this one measures 10. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this one as is. Now the upper tier needs to be 7.5 inches, so let's see how long this piece is. This one's a little bit less than 7.5, so let me cut a length from this piece here. And I'm going to cut myself 8.5 just to be on the safe side. And I keep saying that I'm going to cut myself a piece, but I'm actually going to separate the lengths. So here are my 3 lengths. Let me move these 2 up, and we're going to work on the bottom one first. I'm going to be attaching this pendant, and I'm going to use a 6mm jump ring to attach it. Now to attach it, I need to find the center of the chain. So to find the center of the chain, I'm going to use a head pin. I'm going to insert it into the first link like this, and then I'm going to insert it into the last link. And this is an easy way to find the center of your chain. And it doesn't have to be the perfect center either, okay, because we're going to be trimming the extra chain that we don't need. And now we're going to open up this jump ring. This is a 6mm jump ring. And now I'm going to feed the jump ring through the hole of this pendant like this. And I'm going to feed my jump ring through one of the links of my chain like this. Close it up. You want to make sure you close your jump ring really well. So now we have the pendant connected. I'm going to move these up because now we're going to create some dangles, and we're going to be using a bunch of head pins. You're going to need 4 of the 8mm frosted beads, and you're going to need 6 of the faceted triangle crystals. So let me show you how we're going to do this. I'll try to go slow because the last time I made a tutorial, somebody left a comment that I move a little bit too fast when I do wrapping and the camera doesn't focus. So I'm going to do the first one as slow as I can, making sure that the camera focuses. And then I'm probably going to have to speed up the film because if I don't do that, the video will be too long. But let me show you how I do my wraps. I'm simply going to thread the bead on like this. Now one thing you want to check for, guys, is that the ball of your head pin doesn't slide through the hole. Sometimes the holes are really big and the head pin slides through, so you want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, and that one looks all right. So now I'm going to simply grab the head pin at the very top of the bead like this. I'm going to kink the head pin away like this. Hopefully the camera's focusing. And now I'm going to switch to this portion of the nose of my pliers. And of course yours may be different depending on the brand of plier that you use. These are by Lindstrom and the barrels are kind of skinny. And now I'm going to take the tail and wrap it around the top nose of my pliers like this. I'm going to flip it around. Now when you get to this point, you can adjust the pliers a little bit by turning them towards you so that the loop is closer to the bead. And now I'm going to take the tail and wrap it to the back like this. Remove my pliers, and this is what you should have. I'm not going to do any wraps just yet because I need to connect this to the chain. So I'm going to do the same thing with all of these beads, including the triangles. The triangle beads are done the exact same way as this one. So let me go ahead and speed up the film while I do the rest of these, and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've inserted a head pin into each one of these beads, and each one of them has a loop, but they're not wrapped. So now we're going to attach them to the chain, and we're not going to use jump rings. I'm going to use the loops that I created to attach them to the links. And I've already played around with this design a little bit, so I kind of know the distance that I need between each one of the dangles. Now the first one's going to go somewhere around there, and I calculated that I'm going to need a distance of 3/4 of an inch. So you need to figure out how many links that is based on the chain that you're using. And with my chain, I calculated that I needed 3 links between where this jump ring is and where this dangle is going to be attached. So let me show you how we're going to do this. Now this part's kind of important, guys. You need to look at your links to see how they're connected, because you want to make sure that you connect your dangles on the same side of the links. Let me give you a close-up. As you can see, the pendant is attached to the bottom of the link. So that means that all of the dangles will need to be connected on the bottom side of the links. As you can see, this type of chain has links that are parallel and links that are vertical. So I'm going to be connecting my dangles to the bottom side of the links that are parallel. I hope that makes sense. So usually what I do is I hold the chain like this, and then I figure out which link I need to go through, and I need to go through this one right there. So let me go ahead and connect my first dangle. Just like this. Pretty easy. So now that it's connected, I need to do some wraps. To do the wraps, I like to grab the loop with some skinny pliers, and these are actually crimping pliers, but I like to use the tips because the tips are very skinny, very thin. So you want to grab it like this. And now with another set of needle nose pliers, I'm going to grab the tail, and I'm going to do some wraps. And I usually do about 2 wraps, but you can do more than that if you want to. So now we need to cut off the excess. Using my flush cutters, I'm going to come in here real close. And now you do need to tuck in any little bit that's sticking out. You don't want anything sharp sticking out. So here's my first dangle. So now the rest of the dangles are not going to need as many links in between. So the next dangle is going to have 2 links in between. And when I say 2, I'm referring to the links that are parallel. I'm not counting the ones that are vertical. I hope you guys can see that. So this one here is vertical, this one's parallel, this one's vertical, this one's parallel, this one's vertical. So my next dangle is going to go in this one here on the bottom side of it. And I'm going to be using one of these blue beads. So let me go ahead and pick it up. Pick up the chain. I'm going to insert my pin through that link like this, and now I'm going to grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do my wraps. Cut off the excess, tuck in the little end, and this is what we have so far. And that's basically it, guys. So I'm going to continue connecting my dangles in the exact same manner with 2 links in between each one of these. Now this first one will need to have 3 links from the pendant, okay? But the other ones will have 2 links in between. And again, when I say 2 links, I'm not referring to each one of them. I'm only referring to the ones that I'm going to be connecting to, which are the parallel ones. So let me go ahead and speed up the film, and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I connected all the dangles. I think it looks really nice, and I think the spacing is good as well. And like I said, guys, it all depends on what kind of chain you use. Yours may be different than mine, so you may need more links in between or fewer links. So now we're going to work on the second tier, and it's going to have some dangles as well, and the dangles will be attached the exact same way that I attached these. We're going to be using the melon beads, and we're only going to need 5. Here are my head pins. I do need to make sure that the head pin fits. Okay, I don't want the head of the head pin to slide through the hole of the bead, and it looks like it fits just fine. So once again, you're going to grab the head pin at the top of the bead like this, kink it like this, switch to this portion of your plier barrel, wrap the tail around like this, flip the pliers around and continue to wrap towards the back like this. Remove the pliers, and just like before, I'm not going to do the wraps just yet. I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of these, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've inserted a head pin into each one of those melon beads. Let me move this chain up. So once again, we're going to find the center of this chain. I'm going to insert a head pin through the first link and then through the last link. Find the center. There's my center. And just like before, we're going to insert the dangle through that link and pop it into the loop that we created like this. Grab the loop with some skinny pliers, grab the tail and do some wraps. You can do as many wraps as you want to. I think I'm going to do a little bit more with these beads just to make sure that none of the pin is showing. Plus these are very small beads, so I don't mind doing more wraps. And now I'm going to cut off the excess. And always tuck in anything that's sticking out. You don't want any sharp ends. So now I'm going to look to see where the bottom of the link is, and that's where I'm going to attach the next one. And each one of these dangles are going to be spaced out about 3/4 of an inch from each other, but you can space them out however you want to space them out. And just like the other one, 3/4 of an inch is about the equivalent of having 3 links in between. And again, I'm referring to the links that are parallel to the mat, not the ones that are vertical. So let me go ahead and thread it through. I'm going to thread it through this one right here. Pop it inside, just like that. Grab the loop with my skinny pliers, grab the tail and do my wraps. Cut off the excess and tuck in the little end. So now I have 2 dangles. I'm going to speed up the film and connect these other 3. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've connected the dangles on the second tier. Now the first tier is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be using my 18 gauge wire, and I'm going to need a piece that's about 3 inches long. Let me go ahead and move these up so we can work on this tier now. I'm going to smooth out my wire just a little bit. It's going to have a curve, but you want the wire to be nice and smooth. Plus, when you do this, it does harden the wire a little bit more. I'm going to start out by creating a loop. So I'm going to place my pliers, my round nose pliers, like this so it's flush, and then go ahead and create a loop. You want to try to make sure that you remember where you are on the pliers so that when you go to make the loop at the other end, it's the same size, and you want the loop to be nice and close, just like that. So now let me go ahead and get the beads. You're going to need the wavy disc beads or spacers, 2 of the melon beads, And actually we need 6 of these wavy spacers, 2 of the frosted 8mm beads, and 3 of the faceted crystal rondelles. Let me show you how we're going to thread these. We're going to start out by threading a melon bead. Bring it all the way down, and then a spacer, a wavy spacer, and then one of these green beads, another wavy spacer, and now a blue bead, a wavy spacer, a green bead, a spacer, a blue bead, another spacer, a green bead, another spacer, and a melon bead. And this one doesn't want to go in, so let me go ahead and get another one. Sometimes that happens. This is 18 gauge wire and it's very thick, so you want to make sure that it fits through your beads. And this one barely fits. So this is what you should have. And we're probably going to end up bending this a little bit more, but let me go ahead and create the loop. I'm going to cut off the excess, leaving myself about 3/8 of an inch because that's how much I used when I created this one. So let me go ahead and create my loop now. That looks pretty good. You do want to make sure that your loop's up level, okay? And I'm going to bend it just a little bit more, not too much. So this is what you want, something like that. Now we said we needed this one to be 7.5 inches long. So now what I'm going to do is snip off what I don't need. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to insert the head pin through the first link and the last link. Find the center, which is this one here. And let's go ahead and open up this link here. And now we're going to attach the chain to this center piece. So we're simply going to open up the loop that we created. And now I'm going to insert the link through the loop like this. Close it up really well. And now I'm going to do the same thing at this end. Close up the loop. So now we have all 3 tiers, as you can see. Here are my 2 connectors, and there are my 4mm jump rings. Now I've already experimented with this design, so I know how long each one of these is going to be for myself. But what I recommend that you do before you cut any chain is to just go ahead and connect it to the link with the jump rings and leave the ends. Don't trim them until you figure out if that's what you want in terms of the length of each one. That's what I had to do initially before I figured out how long I wanted mine to be. Keep in mind that we're going to have a piece of chain at the top leading up to the clasp. So if you need your necklace to be longer or shorter, you can make adjustments there. But like I said, I already know how long mine is going to be, so I'm going to go ahead and cut mine. So I'm going to start by connecting the upper tier first. And my upper tier is going to be 7.5 inches long. So let me measure out 7.5 inches. I want to make sure that this is centered. So I'm going to need 3 3/4 from the center of the component. And that's going to be somewhere in this vicinity. So let me go ahead and count the links, and I'm going to count each one. I counted 26 links. Let me remove my ruler. So this is the link that I'm going to be connecting the jump ring to. I'm going to open up the jump ring. Let me remove the head pin, and I'll connect it to this link like this. And now I'm going to connect the jump ring to this component, and I need to make sure that it's facing the direction that I want. And I want the flower petals to be pointing upward. So I'm going to connect it to this petal right here. As you can see, I'm not connecting it to the loop. That's going to be the second tier. I'm connecting it to the first petal, as you can see. Let me go ahead and close it up. So now that I've connected this end, I'm going to go ahead and connect the other end. So here's the first tier, and like I said before, I'm not going to trim these ends until I connect the second tier to make sure that everything sits properly. And the second tier is going to be connected to the loops of this lotus. So let me go ahead and measure out the length that I need. I need 9 inches, so let me go ahead and measure 4.5 from the center dangle. It looks like it's going to be this length right here. And now I'm going to count the links to make sure that I have the same amount on the other side. I counted 33 links. Let me go ahead and open up this jump ring now. Thread it through the link like this. And now I'm going to connect it to this loop of the lotus and close it up. I'm going to let it drape to make sure there aren't any twists in the chain. It's important that you make sure that your chain isn't all twisted around. So now let me count 33 links. So this is the 33rd link right there. I'm going to open up this jump ring. And now I'm going to connect it to the chain like this. Connect it to the lotus link. Close up my jump ring. And this is what we have so far. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this lower tier. I'm going to measure 10.5 inches, which is 5 1/4 from the pendant. And then once I figure out the lengths, I'll connect it to the lotus component. So let me go ahead and speed up the film and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I connected the lower tier. And I haven't trimmed my ends just yet because I'm going to take this to the mirror and see how it sits on my chest. I'm thinking about shortening this lower tier a little bit, so I may move the jump rings to a different length. But let me show you how I connected it. As you can see, the first tier is connected to this petal of the lotus. The second tier is connected to the loop. The third tier is connected to this petal of the lotus. And each one of these is connected with jump rings. So let me go ahead and take this to the mirror and see if I need to make any adjustments, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I did end up removing a couple of links from the lower tier. I did leave this tail here to show you how to remove it, but it's very simple. You just open up the link like we've done before, or you can cut it if it makes it easier. And then just remove the excess like that. And I did take the time to measure out what I needed at the top by the clasp. And for the length that I wanted, I measured a piece that's 3 3/4 inches, but yours may be different. It just depends on how long you want your necklace. Here's a lobster claw clasp, and here are 2 6mm jump rings. So we're going to go ahead and open up this jump ring. Now this is the back of the pendant, so I'm going to attach the lobster claw clasp to the right side. But ultimately it depends on who you're giving it to, whether they're right-handed or left-handed. Generally speaking, if the person's right-handed, it's better to have it on the right side of the necklace. And on the other side, we're going to just attach a jump ring. Like this. And close it up. I will say that this necklace is a little bit fiddly because of all the chain, but once you let it hang and drape properly, it's not an issue. Let me try and arrange it on the mat so you can take a look. So here it is, guys, and isn't it beautiful? I love it. It's so boho and so pretty looking. But I think what I like about this necklace are the colors. I think the colors are really pretty. So anyway, guys, as always, I'd like to go ahead and put this necklace on and show you what it looks like. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Well, what do you think of this necklace? Do you like it? I certainly do. I love the layered look. I really do. And I love all of these dangles because it makes the necklace a little bit dressier, a little bit more upscale. What do you think? But because it has a bit of a boho vibe, you could wear it with jeans and make it look a little bit more casual. And as you can see, it's pretty trendy looking. It's not too big. So anyway, guys, I hope you do try to make this design. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. And I almost forgot, I wanted to wish all the dads out there happy Father's Day. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.